Well, we were going to talk about CM Punk finally getting his world title shot against Gunther at SummerSlam. And, Punk can't catch a break. Roman Reigns becomes the headline instantly. I think some genuine curiosity over the dynamic between Punk and Reigns. They played that up. But Reigns not seen since the day after WrestleMania on WWE TV. And he comes out for the save after the post-match attack by Bronson Reed after Jey Uso offset Reed's interference during the Gauntlet main event, which allowed Punk to pin Braun Breaker. Breaker had the defense, and he kind of knew it was built in when he was in the first segment of the Gauntlet match that, the story would likely be Breaker put up a good fight, made it all the way to the end, except CM Punk was fresher. But they had to throw in, the ridiculous and needless rule, Javier, that there's no DQ in a Gauntlet match, which made everything just farcical.
I will say that one I completely co-signed with you. That one's like that. My brother actually texted me during the match. So he's like, "This makes no sense."
No, I mean they're an
elimination match, eliminate them.
Exactly. It's making people feel foolish. You have to have some structure of the rules. It makes it seem like there's competence to the way the rules are created. And I mean, it's a stretch and it's annoying that a triple threat match can't be an elimination style match where someone gets DQ'd, then you just move on. You could easily do that, but yeah, it's dumb. But let's talk. That's a broken record. WWE has really dumb rules, and I think Cole seems a little maybe self-conscious or self-aware when he says, there's no rules in this match. But come on, it's like, well, why shouldn't Reed interfere? Why shouldn't Heyman hire more people to interfere if there's no rules? I mean, the part that's ridiculous about it is if there's no rules, it's ridiculous to fight fair. Why take a chance on getting pinned when you could just have 18 guys that you hire run out and beat the hell out of CM Punk, and Braun Breaker goes on to have a completely unearned title match at SummerSlam against Gunther? It makes the heels look foolish for not interfering sooner. It's just absurd. But I will try to calm down and move to the next topic, which is talk to me about Roman Reigns' return. It's a shot in the arm star power wise, whatever's going on with Seth, all kinds of conflicting reports. So he's got something else going on. So the injury was conjured up to explain his absence, or it's a master plan so we can have a big cash in on it. That'll be a big angle on Braun. And when Braun is world champion, I mean, I don't think Seth, and I told Todd this last night on a special Sunday night episode of the VIP exclusive Fix, I wouldn't think that they would conjure up this scenario so that Seth would then walk in and get into a LA Knight finisher and end up, via BFT just getting pinned. That'd be just a. And then the idea is, it's a storyline. Seth voluntarily walked into the BFT to get pinned. I mean, I don't know. I mean, all indications are for me, it's a incredible fake sell job for no good, to what ends we don't know. Or the likely scenario is Seth tweaked a previously damaged knee. I don't know, Javier. We'll see. Strange things are happening, but they played it up tonight that Seth is out, but the results of his tests in Birmingham, Alabama aren't in yet, and they didn't talk much about it otherwise. I mean, they really otherwise downplayed it. They did what they had to do to address it. So I don't know. I was going to talk about Reigns, but Seth came up because Reigns sort of filling in for some star power. Tell me your thoughts on the Seth situation and then Reigns.
Yeah, I was going to Seth anyway because I can't go into Roman Reigns without talking about Seth first.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's a legit injury. Whether it was just tweaked at the moment, he's going to be fine, after 2 weeks off, or he's going to be gone for months or a year. That's a different. They'll cross that bridge when you get to it. It would not make any sense the way that match was structured. That it had been fake at that moment. So I'll completely say that's conspiracy theory. In terms of and the other thing that kind of adds more on that scale, that's a legit injury, is that they really pushed Braun Breaker today. It was like they were trying to overcome, because I think the idea is that bring him along a slower with Seth behind him. And this feels like this show was tailor-made. This show was two things. Number one, coda to Evolution, and number two, it was the Braun Breaker show. So I mean, I had like what you said that Vince says that you remember one or two things.
Yeah.
The one that this was the Braun Breaker show. He was put in the Sami Zayn position in the gauntlet match. The one that fights and shows off and gets all the way to the end, but he's not going to be the one you're going to go with, obviously, because it's Gunther's opponent. And yeah, they just treated him like they made him a monster. And I think that likely what would have happened was Seth would have been involved, and then in the post-match beatdown, and then Reigns would have gotten involved because they've been teasing that for a while. But without Seth, then you got what are you gonna do? So they got hell of a pop and good shot in the arm. I was hoping to see if they would hint at what the relationship between Punk and Reigns is at this point. I don't think they really. I don't know if you saw.
It's tense.
Anything. Yeah, tense, but not like I'm gonna kill you kind of look that he had previously. That it didn't feel like it was like Reigns did not shoot him a look of disgust. I don't think.
No. It felt it. Yeah. It felt it felt like, are we okay?
Yeah, felt cautious.
Cautious. Like maybe we need to process this. But obviously Roman came out to help Jay ostensibly, but he was helping Punk too. It would be weird for Reigns to just hug Punk and be like, "Yeah, you're great. I totally trust you." I mean, Reigns. The fact that Punk wins a gauntlet match on Raw, beats the Rising Star Braun Breaker under crazy circumstances, but still, and it's supposed to be CM Punk headlining in an actual title match, one of the 2 nights of SummerSlam, or opening one of the 2 nights, we don't know, or being a mid-card match. Well, we'll see. But, getting a world title shot against Gunther, a big star, it's first. So to have that end with the crowd chanting OTC, they're not out to get Punk. I mean, I get what just sort of had to happen. I think it's sort of an inconvenient result of this, but obviously, if you're trying to make it seem like the John Cena promo a few weeks back did not do great damage to Punk, and I think that's still a dark cloud that just damaged Punk's brand, even if he's getting chants and pops. Cena's disassembling of Punk being true to what he once stood for publicly. I think having Punk be clearly a Robin to Roman Reigns' Batman, I think isn't great for the Punk brand. But you know what? They're in the Roman Reigns business and they ought to be. So I'm I'm just sort of assessing, I think, the reality of it and not really being critical of it. It just is what it is.
And I mean, if you want me to stir the pot a bit, go back and watch when he came out, Punk's body language. Yeah. I don't know. I got the impression it was kind of like, I'm over this bleep.
Mm-hmm.
Was the impression I got from that. So, because it didn't feel like he was like soaking in, didn't really play to the crowd. He just came in, did whatever he did on the floor. I'd like to see, because he looked like he was drawing something on the floor. I'm wondering if he did something, specific. And then, he kind of seemed, there was no promo by him tonight, right? Or like, not even
nobody. I mean, Penta had a brief stare down with Gunther, but nobody. I mean, Breaker got the promo, which, by the way, the Breaker segment was smart and good because it made it seem like if you're doing the math and you're a savvy fan, you're like, it's not going to be Jay again. LA Knight's not at that level. Penta's not at that level. I mean, that'd be a dark horse surprise. I mean, it's a Gunther World Title match. You can't rule that out. But you look at it and go, most likely CM Punk, unless you, in your mind, you're kind of thinking, well, no, Punk is for sure going to be doing some other match that makes more sense. But I think most people would come to the conclusion it was Punk's match to win. The other candidate would be Braun, but then you're doing a weird heel thing. But that's Paul Levesque's special, is extinguish all home team, away team, natural momentum of matches constantly by having people choose between heels and faces, and it's like heels and heels in some segments and faces in others. So that could be something you'd believe. But it really gave a boost to it. If you're watching, you say, oh, they just gave away the finish by having Breaker and Gunther have this exchange and create all this tension, when in reality it was a red herring and it's a future match almost for sure. But it was a red herring to make it seem like Breaker had more of a chance to win than people, I think, naturally would figure was the case. I think it was, I don't say obvious CM Punk was winning. I think people can talk themselves into a lot of different things, but Jay and LA Knight would be huge stretches, and, Penta an underdog. So I thought that was a smart segment to include. But yeah, it would have been nice to hear, going full circle back to your point, Javier, it'd be nice to hear from CM Punk. Heck, I'll take promos from LA Knight and Penta too. Just some old school, just have Jackie Redmond just go backstage and go, Punk, you got a chance here. How do you feel about it? And to not let him talk is kind of weird.
Yeah, and even if it was just like a 5-minute thing.
I'll take 40 seconds backstage in locker room. He's taping his wrists. He's taping his wrists. I mean, honestly. Yeah.
I mean, talking about when you add in all the cutting to and all that stuff. Just a quick thing for all the people involved. Knight did have something he said during the commercial break, but that he mainly addressed Rollins' injury, saying that. Actually, I have it here if you want to.
Update.
He said during the break, he said, from the bottom of my heart, I want to wish you a speedy recovery because I said I want to take your dignity and I want to hurt you. I didn't get a chance because you hurt your damn self. So that, that too kind of makes me think that it's more legit too, overall, the Punk thing was weird. The fact that he didn't get any of that stuff. The fact that he, his body language, the way he came out, and hey, he's playing second fiddle to Reigns, even though he wins the match. And in terms of winning the match, at first I thought that Penta and LA Knight had chances. Just before I heard it was SummerSlam, because I thought at first, when they first announced it, I thought it was just an upcoming title match, probably for the Paris Clash of Paris, because Vicaire had won the title title shot for that, so I thought it was going to be the same thing. When I saw it was for SummerSlam, it's like your only real choice is at that point is CM Punk.
I mean, I could talk myself into thinking they're going to headline with the women's triple threat, and then one night, and then Cena and Cody the other, and then you can just do Gunther Penta, on as an opening match one of the two nights. I mean, you can talk yourself into that, but I mean, they should and ought to have a CM Punk Gunther match at SummerSlam. I don't know how much more time they have for it. I don't know how much longer Gunther will be champ, how much longer Punk will be a healthy single star who is popular enough for fans to see that as a reason to buy tickets and tune in. So I mean, you want SummerSlam to be loaded. Penta, you're right. Penta would feel like a secondary match for Gunther at this point. No dig to Penta. I mean, he's over and popular, but they haven't pushed him at a level where it seemed like that's the logical SummerSlam challenger for one of your two men's world titles.
Yeah, and the push kind of feels lost some steam where he's now top of the mid card kind of thing.
Yeah, so, yep. Which is kind of where I thought he'd land, but I was open to him doing better or worse. I mean, I think he's in a good, sustainable kind of LA Knight type spot, where Jey Uso likely is landing now too. I mean, there's plenty of people who need to be in that lane for WWE to work. I think I don't think they would have had him lose a Raw main event if they were heading into him being a SummerSlam challenger. Okay, let's pause and briefly introduce the show and tell people how to participate, and then we'll get to some chat room comments on this and also other topics. There's a lot on this episode of Raw, even with the gauntlet match taking up 40-some minutes and eating up a huge chunk of the so-called third hour. More developments coming out of a very busy weekend for WWE. This is Wade Keller Pro Wrestling Post Show for Monday, July 14th, 2025. I'm Wade Keller, host of the show, editor, publisher, and founder of the Pro Wrestling Torch weekly newsletter and the website PWTorch.com. We had a ton of live coverage. Our team came through with great coverage throughout the whole weekend, both in written reports on the big shows, starting with SmackDown, I guess, all the way through Evolution last night. And we also had some free podcasts on YouTube and then some VIP exclusive content also. If you're not a VIP member, I encourage you to go VIP, pwtorch.com/govip. That unlocks all our coverage and also gives you commercial break skips, just no commercials on our shows that are free, and then VIP exclusive shows also. Plus, full VIP membership unlocks our 35-plus year archives of hundreds of retro radio shows from the 90s and 20-plus years of podcasts, an ad-free version of our website with exclusive content and articles, our post-pay-per-view roundtables with written reviews and scores from our columnists, and also a customizable podcast feed. So if you want just current event stuff or you want a one feed for everything, you can split it into current stuff and past stuff. You can also just do by show. So you have all the roundtables on one feed and all the VIP vaults going back 18 years in another feed, etc. Full details on how to sign up through Patreon, Spotify, through your Apple account with a credit card, a debit card, or PayPal. All those are options, all laid out at pwtorch.com/govip. We'd love to have your support, and we'll give you a lot in return for that membership fee. But we're here to talk Monday Night Raw, and you are invited to participate, be part of the show. Type in your questions in the chat or your comments. We'll discuss them live and also throw them on the screen for our YouTube viewers. We stream live, by the way, after Raw, Dynamite, and SmackDown. I host those shows live on the PWTorch YouTube channel. After pay-per-views and PLEs from WWE and AEW, we have live post shows. Brandon LeClaire hosted both shows this weekend with different co-hosts. One after AEW All In, a marathon, 8 hours, Javier, counting the pre-show, 6 hours for the pay-per-view proper. Yeah, it was a lot. So they did a 2-hour post show after that, live on YouTube, available on demand. And then also after Evolution last night. So a doubleheader of the Wrestling Night in America pay-per-view PLE post shows. And then also NXT, we are live on YouTube with the NXT post show, Kelly Wells and Nate Lindberg, along with a mix of co-hosts, part of that. So check us out on YouTube. You can also, as most of you do on the podcast side of things, listen to the audio-only versions on slight delay. We put them up shortly after we go off the air with our live YouTube streams. Search Wade Keller and PWTorch to subscribe to all of our free shows. There's a red logo, blue logo, Wade Keller shows, the regular podcast. Tomorrow on the flagship, Jason Powell from ProWrestling.net joins me. So send in your questions for the flagship also, by the way, for that in time for our recording tomorrow afternoon. That is audio only. It is not on YouTube. So if you are discovering us or finding us on YouTube, to hear our flagship podcast, you need to search Wade Keller in your podcast app and subscribe to the Blue Logo Show. And while you're at it, subscribe to the Red Logo Show, and you'll get all our shows in audio format also. The podcast feeds include content that isn't part of our YouTube feed. And then search PWTorch to get the PWTorch Daily Cast feed, which includes those post pay-per-view and PLE shows, along with an array of other shows, a different show each day of the week with different themes, including our AEW theme show, our NXT theme show, our 90s Past Cast, Wrestling Coast to Coast covering the indie scene, and more. And that includes Javier Machado, our co-host today. He hosts the Acknowledging WWE version of the PWTorch Daily Cast. So again, search PWTorch to subscribe for free or subscribe to that feed as part of your VIP membership. Javier, welcome back to the co-host chair. Glad you could join me today. So much happening and so much to talk about. I'm glad I get to talk with you about it.
Yeah, the last few times, important stuff has happened.
Yeah, definitely. What surprised you the most coming out of this or over the weekend? AEW or WWE? We'll just kind of have that before we transition back to Raw.
Surprised me the most? Honestly, I don't think anything surprising. I have not seen Evolution yet. I still got to catch up. Catch it up tomorrow.
It's worth it. It's a good show. Yeah.
Although I did see the final match because we finished watching AEW. And the last match hadn't started yet, so we did see that. We saw the cash in. I think that might have actually been the biggest surprise because my brother and I were the ones who previewed it on Acknowledging WWE, and he felt like I didn't think Naomi was going to cash in. I thought that she was going to basically be taken out and then be gone until like SummerSlam for it to be the surprise cash in at SummerSlam. Yep. He was adamant that she was going to cash in. She just got the wrong person, so that was surprising. Kind of like a swerve and interesting because I guess it puts her away from Jade for a bit too.
Yeah.
So they're stretching that storyline out. So that I'm curious as to what they're going to do. And I have to say that Naomi, I've always been very critical about Naomi in the ring, probably still am. But her character, I've really been enjoying her character. I know it gets over the top a little bit, but much more enjoy this than the Feel the Glow Naomi. So that I think she and there were a couple other even with the women in AEW, I think they it felt like they're like, okay, since they're doing Evolution, we're going to go out and we're going to show off, like go completely nuts. So and like going even into today. So.
Well, speaking of Naomi, yes, she's over the top. She overacts. She overdoes it. Becomes a little cartoonish, and I'd like her to dial that down. But she makes up for it by stroking her what is it? Caution? What is the tape? Does it say caution on it? Why am I blanking?
Proceed with caution.
Proceed with caution. Yeah, she strokes that like this long blonde hair in some Disney movie. It's just like, oh look, that just pops me. That cracks me up so much the way she treats that. She is really there's so many things she's doing right now that I think really are main event worthy right now. She has reinvented herself in a way that I think a lot of male and female wrestlers should look at and go, if we're kind of stalled, there's something you can do to kind of inject it. I don't think most people thought Naomi was going to come out of the Jade Bianca Belair storyline with all the momentum. Granted, Jade's heading to SummerSlam in a big match, and Bianca's still a big star, but man, Naomi is ahead of both of them right now in my book in terms of where she stands, in terms of being an interesting and relevant character. And I thought her celebration tonight, we'll talk about that, was good.
Yeah, with what she particularly said, what you just said, she said that I was supposed to be the third person, and look at me now.
Exactly. Yep. All right. Chat room is just popping here with a lot of comments. Let me throw a few on the screen from our earlier discussion, and start with Glenn B, who says it was an awesome show. It ended in a moment where you rewind, crank up the volume, and watch again. I like Punk and Jey Uso, but it's clear from crowd pops no one is yet bigger than Reigns. That goes to our comment, Javier. Roman is the big star. Was there anything about Roman's presentation in what he did and how he looked that seemed anything less than still the top star? It started to feel like, was Roman even still part of this company? That's a long time to be away. But the OTC chants persisted, and they didn't seem to lose steam. The fans didn't lose hope. But yeah, he was a centerpiece. Was there anything you didn't like about how they brought him back?
No, the only thing I've never been fond of is him cocking doing the cocking thing, which he toned down as a heel, but now he's like overplaying that and he's overplaying some of those things that he did in his early incarnation. I get it. He's a babyface now, and you kind of want to get people into it. I've never been a fan of those two things. Other than that, but that's a personal gripe. But other than that, no. He just didn't really do much other than come in, spear everybody, and then do what he had to do. I'm curious if he's also going to have like some sort of thing going on SmackDown with the MFT with Jimmy, because they're outnumbered over on that side too. So it might just end up being that he's going to be doing double duty. When
Naomi said, "Hey, I'm on Raw and I won't be around Jade and Bianca," and I'm just like, I don't know what brand you're on. I don't know what brand you were on. Sometimes I don't even know what show I'm watching. It's nonstop content. I can tell, the announcers is the giveaway. Oh, the banner on the ring is probably a good giveaway in the corner of the screen. there's a lot of ways to know, but you know what I mean. I'm joking, but there are this notion that Naomi's on Raw now and that changes everything. It's like anybody's on any show when it's convenient. They don't even talk. It's just, I know a lot of people have a home base, but the idea that, now Roman, he's on Raw, he can't be on SmackDown. He can go anywhere he wants. He's the OTC. I don't know where he, do you have it figured out in your head or the possibility of where he ends up at SummerSlam?
Rant? No idea.
Solo and Jimmy. Solo and Tall. I'm trying to think like what combination would make the most sense, and then if Reigns is teaming with Jimmy and Jay against Solo. Who on Raw is there for him that would make? I guess he could just do a singles match with Braun Breaker.
I'm thinking maybe a triple or four-way with Gunther, CM Punk, Reigns, and Gunther, and maybe Breaker.
I hope not. I think they do straight up.
I know. I know. I'm not with. I don't shoot the messenger.
Well, you're not the messenger. You're the creator. No one handed you a note that you had to read.
No, it's not what I want. It's not what I want. It's what I think they're going to do. Gotcha, that's what I'm saying.
Gotcha. I think Reigns and Jay against Reed and Breaker. That's a good use of Jay. That fits the angle, and then it delays anything with Solo till later.
Yeah, unless
he's only got 2 weeks.
Unless he's going to be doing double duty.
And he's not doing that.
I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Unless, because I think something's going to have to be going with Jacob, and unless they somehow mash both of those two storylines together, and you end up getting and like a 4 versus 4 way 4 versus 4.
You don't want to give two Reigns matches away with two completely separate factions at this point. I mean, I think they want to save Reigns feuds for separate moments when they can each other spotlight, especially with such a short amount of time to build it.
Yeah, although if he's going to be around for when they do War Games or whatever new in Survivor Series, then they could tease them crossing paths during
for sure
during that thing, and then to set that up for the future. So
yeah, I think we're heading to something like that. Okay, Dwayne Carpenter says, were Gauntlet matches always no DQ, or is WWE just making this up as they go along? Mark Biscotti says, with Rollins out, they should have put gone with Braun all the way. I know they need help selling out MetLife Stadium twice, but not pulling the trigger was a mistake. I mean, it's too soon to fully judge everything. Maybe they just genuinely don't know, the timeline for Seth. But Seth is going to be at SummerSlam. It seems likely he's not at this point, very likely. So there's going to be some alterations to it. But maybe it's as simple as it was going to be Seth and Braun Breaker against Jay and Roman, and now it's just going to be Reed and Breaker. Reed was going to be at ringside. So I mean, it might not be much of a disruption. Am I forgetting anything as I'm talking here, Javier, in terms of what Seth would be doing?
The thing is that Seth really felt like the Ace story, the main character, for a while, because he had been crossing over with all your biggest people, and people were expecting him to they would chant OTC whenever he was around. Yeah. I think I'm not saying like in terms of popularity to the fans or anything, but in terms of the storytelling they were telling, I thought he was the most important character, even over Cody. Because Cody kind of seems like he's in his own Codyverse, Cena-verse thing doing that. This felt more like, tied into the entire structure of what's going on, mainly on Raw, but even a little bit to SmackDown. While on SmackDown, that felt like it's now with what's, Jacob Fatu and the Solo thing has pretty much been kind of like their, obviously I'm talking on the male side, those would be like the main characters. So I think that him going out, I mean, with all the stuff that they teased, I mean, he even crossed paths with Gunther at one point. So all the stuff that they teased with Seth, I think that it does leave a void, like how Liv kind of left a void with, she started feuding, or they teased a feud with Nikki Bella, and then you still had her thing with Rhea and her thing with everybody else going on the show. That was a big void. I think Seth is kind of the same. But you're heading into SummerSlam, so you're gonna have a bunch of people that only show up for SummerSlam and WrestleMania coming back anyway. So I think the impact might be lessened for that reason.
Goodfella 1422 says Roman picking up Bronson for the Samoan drop was cool. It was a fun episode. Goodfella 1422 says I like the injury being a mystery, giving us no idea when he'll show up. But if it's ACL or a major tear, I think they will announce it. Yeah, I mean, possibly. Derek Hubbard says, I don't need to know if the injury's legit. If they can incorporate the injury into a good story, no matter real or fake, it works for me as a wrestling fan. I'm past the need to know everything. I mean, I hate to give attention to something that I can't rule out entirely, but makes no sense to me and would seem foolish. And, I just don't think Seth and Heyman and ultimately Levesque are into let's fool the internet, let's fool people. I think they mock people who do dumb things that don't make sense in order to try to fake people out with something that looks real. I mean, I guess I'd judge it in the end, but I just don't see to what ends. I just think people are outsmarting themselves by trying to people are so desperate to not buy into something that's a work that they just protect themselves every single time. And every once in a while, they'll be right, but most of the time it's just, I don't know. I think Seth tweaked his knee, and they might know it's pretty bad, and they're still scrambling to kind of figure out, how to address it. But Heyman just going, he has a whole year to defend it, was, I think, the way of saying, when you see him next, it'll be for a cash-in when his music plays. And then the question is it against a Braun Breaker and it's a Seth babyface turn, or is it with Heyman's approval to go after Breaker to turn Breaker babyface, or is it just going after Cody, or as a heel or something like that? I mean, but that's a ways off, and they probably, but I don't have reporting on this, don't know. They just genuinely don't know. Sean Plichter is going to join us as a caller. Says Braun didn't need Bronson's helping him, and yeah, the no DQ stuff is dumb. Sean also says fun match, but why would Punk be last? It makes him feel weak for beating Braun like that. So they said it was a random draw. Michael Cole said that, but obviously they wanted Punk and Braun to be last. So you have to have Punk go on last if you're going to have Braun go on first. Now, you could have Punk go on first, but Punk's a guy in his mid-40s, and Breakker is, in his physical prime in his 20s. You don't want Punk going 43 minutes or whatever. So I'm totally fine with the order. It was billed as random. And they thought they made up for Punk not beating Bronson decisively quickly, because Bronson had been out there for over a half hour before that, by having Reed be the one who kind of stopped Punk's momentum. So I thought they handled it as well as they could, given what they wanted to do in the end.
Yeah, and the purpose of the match was to make Braun look unstoppable. So because he went through top tier talent, and eventually it wasn't until like later where the gas started running out. And then by the way, speaking of hating the Jey Uso thing, because if you didn't get the commercial break, he basically spent like the entire commercial break doing the yeet thing while Breakker was selling on the floor. So, and you had Corey Graves losing his mind on commentary, saying, I don't like this. This is, you can't do that while Braun Breaker's there. And I'm like, it was just frustrating.
It's obviously they have numbers, and most people are not watching commercial free. Otherwise, they would not have booked it to look that dumb. But it's awful. I mean, I give Penta a hard time. I give everybody a hard time, especially baby faces, when it just happens to be something Penta. It's like one of his key spots, which is just needlessly celebrate early. He did against Breakker, and Breakker made an early comeback when he had momentum. It just makes a baby face look dumb and undisciplined, and that is the ultimate. Gray should be upset. I would have vetoed that spot.
I mean, the comment, because I think Cole tried to gaslight the situation, saying, well, Jay's the kind of guy that needs the crowd, so this is actually like giving him motivation and stuff like that. Yeah. And Corey Graves then said, it's not like one of these schmucks in the first row is going to come out and help him.
Yeah.
So I was like, yep. Yeah, it was a thing.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I would totally veto that. I think WWE should put more of what they do through the filter of have everything have a baseline of being more sports-like, and when there's exceptions, it should be rare, and it should be easily explained, it should be logical, and it shouldn't just completely make a farce of the integrity of the idea that there's matches with rules. Paul Levesque should have his eye. He's old school enough. He should know. He should have his eye on the idea that everything happening isn't to entertain you. Entertainment is a side effect of booking something that seems like there's competent leadership trying to find out who the better wrestler is. And when that leadership is incompetent because of the stupid no DQ rules, and then you have wrestlers trying to get crowd heat while completely melting away any sense that there's a sense of urgency, the stakes are high, and they need to go for the kill. And it's just one thing after another because, well, we want to get crowd heat. No, the presupposition is you should be trying to win. The stakes are incredibly high here. And from Penta through Jay, it was just dumb. And Bree did it too. Braun Breakker did at one point too. So I wish they'd clean that up.
I understand the goal is because you're going to commercial break and you wanted just something. It didn't matter because
I get it. Yeah,
I get it. But like you would have gotten more if you had time things where Jay would just get a bunch of near falls and started going because he's weakened. And then you would have gotten more out of that than if you had done the 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 kind of haha spot that they did.
If you're a politician and you're in a debate and you don't think people are really paying super close attention, they're kind of bored, that doesn't mean you rip off your suit and reveal like a polka dot T-shirt and start juggling. I mean, you could, and that would get people's attention, but it would completely undercut your dignity as a politician. And I want some timeless adherence to the idea that there should be some force that's preventing just sheer ridiculousness. So what if Jay has to just wrestle Breakker for 3 minutes in a kind of a time filler way that a certain small percentage of the audience is watching commercial free? That's way better than this nonsense. And it just way too often there's just too much of that going on in all of professional wrestling. I mean, it's a generational sloppiness that I think makes everything harder. In the short run, it's more fun. Hey, Jay gets to get a crowd reaction. And this is, like you said, I get why they do it. There should be people in the back with power going, this is dumb. We can't do this. Yes, it has a short-term positive, but it makes a farce of everything. And, they go, well, we're selling so many tickets and all that, but are they? Couldn't they sell more if people kind of got pulled in and didn't see it as just a joke? I mean, they're making it seem like a big joke where it's just all about this is awesome chance and ring entrances, and the wrestling is just sort of there with dumb rules, and the outcomes have nothing to do with what happens in the first 90% of matches. It's frustrating. All right. Cal Fassel just chimes in. I hate the multi-person matches with no DQ. When did that start? I don't remember it being like that. Always makes the heels look foolish to not interfere sooner. Yeah, I mean, totally agree. All right, let's go to our first caller here. Javier, bring Sean from Tennessee in, and then we'll get to David Miller afterwards, a PWTorch contributor. Sean, welcome.
What's going on, guys? Good to be on with you as always.
We are talking Raw.
Yes, we are. Just going back to what I said earlier, and I see your points, Wade. I guess maybe weak wasn't the word. I think what I was thinking of when Punk came out was not I knew he would be last. I mean, it made sense because he is 45 years old. But the thing is, he just didn't get a lot of offense in, and then it's just like he wins a match the way he won it. And I'm like, that's not the way I want him to be a strong. We know it's CM Punk. We get it. But I want him to be a strong challenger going into a match against Gunther. And yes, we know he's who he is, but in a match like that, it doesn't help him get over in a way where it's like, oh, that's a big win for him. It just feels like not a big win because he barely went 5 minutes against Braun, who was battered and beaten the whole match and then had to get interference to win the match. So it just kind of felt flat in that way, if that makes any sense. Does that make sense to you guys where I'm coming from there?
Javier, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think to some extent I don't want to say it's meant, but it's something that they would know that's the way it would have come across. That's not a strong victory for Punk because he didn't really beat anybody. He beat somebody who had wrestled for, a day beforehand. But Punk is already kind of over. So I think it's more, I think the math there is it's more important for us to get over Braun for the future for what we have planned next.
Yeah.
Because Punk can then just, because the Punk's game is the promo game with Gunther anyway. So that's going to be what's going to get you more involved in the match. And I mean, they're not going to do this, but Gunther going to even call out, Punk for the very same thing you're saying. Hey, yeah, you might have won the gauntlet match, but you were the last guy and beat a guy who was already dead. So what does, so this is going to be a cakewalk for me, particularly because that's the kind of thing that he likes to do. So, so they could even play into that. I doubt they will, but it's a route that they can go. So I don't think they'd rather people even thinking about that, But yeah, I mean, that ultimately the goal was, Braun must get over because Seth is not around.
Yeah, I mean, Heyman has. It's not like a big change in how he describes Breakker, but Heyman, says he's the next big thing, and it crosses my mind. Like, does Heyman have in the back of his mind, Brock Lesnar has one more match or one more run, and I'm calling Braun Breakker the next big thing, and there's going to be this huge WrestleMania match in 2-3 years. Or sooner, where Lesnar shows up and goes, who's the next big thing, Paul? They're probably playing that by ear, or maybe they think it's likely they can get away with it because people get away with so much these days, and we still elect them. So yeah, I don't know, but they see Breakker as a big star. Javier, do you think? I mean, every few weeks it's worth updating our thoughts on this because this is a big push for Breakker, and tonight is the type of night where. He was put out there for a long stretch. He was talked about as a next big thing. He stood in the ring opposite of Gunther as a current world champion. I mean, they are preparing, they're priming us to see him as a guy that you would totally believe with Paul Heyman by his side, and eventually probably as a babyface, but main eventing WrestleManias and SummerSlams. How is Breakker coming across to you? Does this feel like a stretch, or no, this is the right guy and he looks like he belongs?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely belongs as one of the top guys until we. I think the goal with was have Seth kind of be the guy with the backing of Breakker. Bronson Reed could have been replaced by anybody, to be honest. But then it'd be like a 6 to a year long storyline where then Breakker you get the full Breakker. I think part of the Breakker situation is when they put him with Seth Rollins and Heyman. He became more of like we're seeing him as like a just as a badass. So he hasn't had a chance to really get his personality across. So I think that was one of the things where they're going. I think that was supposed to be slower, doled out so you get to know him. I think that they're just going to have to like do it quickly. If instead of it's one of those cases where you're grooming. I think you've made this allegory before, Wade. You have a backup that you're grooming that he's not supposed to start until next year, but then your primary gets knocked out, so you have to start him earlier than you expected to. That's kind of and with all the problems that comes with, because sometimes you put in somebody there too early and starts getting too many sacks, and and things don't work out. So there's a danger in just putting him, like, having be the guy now or one of your top guys now. There's always a danger in that, but I do think that he's got a lot of the tools that you need. He comes across, when he talks intelligently, he comes across as an intelligent person also. So, the thing is that that intelligent person that he was showing when he was IC champion, they kind of pulled that away once he joined this faction. And I think the idea was to, like, more, to sort of like feed that back in as the story went on, as their relationship grew. But yeah, I mean, now it's a pivot, and it's like, see what they where he is. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually ends up being a champion if they want to go with him before the end of the year. So,
Sean, back to you.
Yeah, I'm with you guys on Braun too. I think that was the goal, especially now that Seth, if he's out. I mean, you got to make Braun the big star, and that's what they're doing. I think tonight what they did with him was great. The Punk stuff, that was a little bit different for me, but with Braun, I thought they got him over in a big way, and I'm really interested to see what they do with him going forward. I mean, Braun Gunther wasn't the match right now, but it's definitely a match in the future. I mean, you got to build to that, something like that down the line. If you turn one of them face, I think it's going to be really fun. But I want to go back to the beginning of the show. Naomi is really good as a heel for sure. I do like the promo because it was different. It was a different side of her that I do like. I thought the finish, Evolution, was great. Very well done. Very well told. I understand all of the reasons why in WWE's mind it's okay to do a triple threat here, but I don't want it. I'm tired of doing, obviously Naomi has a beef with Io, and obviously Naomi, and Rhea have this issue. So what do we got to do? We just got to get them all together and have a match. I just don't want the crutch anymore. I understand why they're doing it. You could argue, and I agree why they're doing it. It's always the thing they go to, and I want them to be different. Go to one-on-one matches. It's more interesting with two characters who don't like each other or have this interesting beef with each other or this storyline between these two people. But no, we just throw people in here, and it drives me crazy. It drives me nuts.
I think they have, various reasons they do it. They're each, sort of justifiable. In isolation. I say that a lot. A lot of these things you're in the moment, you're trying to fill out a card or get everybody on a show. And you go with it. But at some point you just go, but we're saying yes to this too often. I mean, I get Ripley and Sky had a inconclusive finish. It looked like Ripley would have won if not for Ref being down and then Naomi coming out. Cole certainly underlined and emphasized that, but Io Sky is super respected, and it's not like she should be ousted as the former champion just because Ripley got a visual fall. Now, the obvious answer is you give them each a title shot, and the order doesn't matter that much. I mean, it's not that big of a deal what order they go in, and they each get a singles title shot. I mean, that's how I do it. I don't like a situation where Naomi is going against two baby faces either. I mean, I think there's some things that are broken about Paul Levesque's approach, and I think it's a total guess, and I don't know who's in his ear or why he's doing exactly why he's doing what he's doing, but I think he just wants to I think he's leaning too hard on the idea that in this modern era we're not going to do the old passe, home team away team formula, but that's where he's getting the most crowd response. I mean, it's not devastating. They can do well. They're all interesting and compelling. Yeah. But it's too much. And if you kind of just said, let's just go a year not doing anything other than 2-on-2, 3-on-3, or 1-on-1, I think it'd be an interesting challenge to take on. It's just like doing a sugar fast or something. Just like we're gonna fast for a year of doing it and see what happens. Like when you take away that crutch, and frankly, just don't do any situations where heels cross paths with each other and argue where fans are like, God, now you start thinking about why you like Gunther more than Breaker and Heyman or vice versa. Like, why do you want people thinking that? Just keep it simple and I don't want to root for my home sports team, but have constantly the announcers telling me, yeah, but you know what? This guy had an arrest record and this guy doesn't give out autographs. And And this guy is hated by his teammates, even though you cheer for him when he scores. It's like, I don't want that stuff thrown at me. Just let me escape into my sports world. And I think Paul Levesque thinks he's being more sports-like. He's being less sports-like. Sports is better at creating a work that your home team are the good guys and the away teams are the bad guys, and the local broadcasters do it. A lot of local radio does it. Obviously, there's a lot of anti-homer radio hosts too and podcasters. But sports is better at creating a work than Paul Levesque is as a booker. And I don't know why it creates the headwind. Again, I'm not against it every now and then when it really can count. I just don't like it happening constantly, especially two baby faces against a heel in a triple threat. So the storyline supports it. I don't think it's the right approach to take, though.
Javier,
you want to add anything, Javier?
Yeah, the other way you could have done it is have Rhea and Io do the match again, and then the winner gets, that would be the other.
They'd probably say there's no rules in this match either for some dumb reason. And
well, yeah, I thought that the 2 out of 3 falls was going to end up. I even have it in my notes. Okay, so here's the here's the roll up. This is the first roll up, the second roll up, and then Becky Lynch interferes. And then Becky Lynch interferes.
I thought you get one roll up, a second roll up, 1-1, and you get a double pin. Both shoulders down. The ref counts both.
Don't give them ideas.
You could have done that one too, but
they already did it. They just do it again.
I
love Becky pointing out that's never happened in WWE history. It just happened to happen here. Becky is very smart. Just like the way she sneaks stuff in. So I was going to say something about that. The first fall. Stop it.
They're ridiculous. Wait, so bad.
Honestly, whoever came up with the idea that because it's 2 out of 3 falls, let's have the first fall end in a minute or two, when nobody ever gets pinned in the first minute or two, when it's two people who are even, kind of in the same league of each other. But because it's best of 3 falls, we're going to just book it. It's a contrivance to get to a commercial break, and it's stupid. It just shows such a disregard, a cavalierness towards any semblance of telling a story with reality. They have the ability to tell a story that feels more real, and they just can't be bothered over and over and over again. And it's sloppy and it's inexcusable. There is no upside. I get the second fall coming quickly. Do 12 minutes of a first fall. The second fall can come quick because the wrestlers are tired, or the wrestler who's up 1-0, maybe wants to tap out quickly to not end up with a handicap. End up with such a disadvantage in the third fall that they give up quickly, or they get cocky and they celebrate. There's all kinds of ways you can do a second fall quickly after a first. The first fall should be somewhat close to the length of what you would expect it to be if it was a single fall match, with the, again, exception being, and you could tell such a good sports story, and they've done this before, which is you might tap out quicker in the first fall knowing that you have another chance. You can come back and fight again, and if you don't tap out quickly, you could end up so damaged you're going to be hobbling. That's why, in tennis, when you lose your advantage, I haven't watched, my terminology might not be perfect, but when you have the advantage as a server and you lose it, a lot of times players sort of half-heartedly just give up that set, that game, whatever, because they don't want to expend a bunch of energy. You know what I'm talking about, Sean. And because they're like, no, I'm not going to put energy into something where my odds have dropped to 20% that I can win this. I have to save my energy for when I have an advantage again. So you want to break serve, but when you lose serve, because then the server gives, so anyway, I don't want to get too far down the tennis road, but there are sports examples where you could pull into wrestling and actually have someone on commentary go, yeah, this happens in tennis. If you got to tap out quickly in a best of 3 falls match. We've seen it historically. Pull up some records. I don't need to know how many times they've been in Birmingham for Raw. What I want to know is how many times has someone in a best 2 or 3 falls match tapped out quicker than expected because they didn't want to end up at a disadvantage for the final 2 falls. There's just so many ways you can, and this is the thing. The things I try to recommend change in pro wrestling where there's no downside other than a little extra thinking and a little bit extra planning backstage. I'm not asking them to do something that's going to hurt business for the sake of logic and structure and morality. I'm asking them to do things that I think are best for business that are easily correctable if they just thought about it and stopped doing tropes and bad habits and the path of least resistance because they just want to get through planning out a show and get to the nightclub afterwards or get to their phones afterwards or whatever the excuse is. It's all kinds of reasons. Some of it is they just don't know any better because they don't have any history with other bookers who did things in different ways. But anyway, I'm ranting. Javier, anything you want to add before I throw it back to Sean?
The early finishes I've always liked was the one you mentioned, which I remember Brett was involved in one of this where he got somebody on the in the sharpshooter and then they tacked out quickly.
Yep.
So I remember that one. I remember MJF. I think it might have been Cody, and he hit him like it started as soon as the match started. He hit him with a chair.
Yep.
So he took the disqualification loss and then pinned him, and then tried to go for another pin, but then it went awry. And then a leverage pin where they got their legs on the thing, and it was ended up being a leverage pin. But again, it was because of the heel. And that's about it. That's the only excuse that you have for an early finish, unless you've established matches before where you get an early roll up. If you've done that previous, that's a possibility that happens, then okay. But you're that's not what the WWE is. So when that happens early on, you just made someone who I was really high on, and they have decided to damage her in my eyes as much as possible. Valkyria, you just made her look like a complete idiot because she couldn't control her temper, and then to the point where she didn't know how to kick out. That was just ridiculous.
Yep. Yeah. Is CJ, by the way, in the chat wants to call in, and I had there's two links. One is a hot link, and one is one you cut and paste. The cut and paste one has been fine all along. The hot link went to last week's call-in code, so it's expired. But I fixed that. So just cut and paste the code, CJ. Or hit refresh on your page, and you'll be able to call in. And I think I updated both Patreon and the VIP page. So sorry about that. But if one code doesn't work, it means there's two places I put it, kind of for that reason. If I have some people like to cut and paste, others just want a hot link. So anyway. And everybody else, by the way, who's a VIP member, Patreon supporter, are invited. As always, if you're watching us live, to call in. We'd love to get some fresh faces and voices on the show. No offense, Sean. That's not a dig at you.
I did not take it as a dig. I do exactly what you.
Oh no, I know you. I know you didn't, but I started to stir trouble. I was like, I could imagine somebody insecure seeing that as me saying, "Yeah, I'm tired of talking to Sean." So I'm going to pretend that it was obviously something I have to.
How dare you not want to talk to me, Wade? How dare you? Yes. No, I want to say. Well, first and with Wade, when you rant about the same stuff I'm thinking about, it's just good that you get to do it because I'm like, I'm with you exactly. So I love when you get to vent it out because I need it. What? Hey, what is this? What is this?
Dwayne Carpenter, we're tired of seeing Sean's face. And Goodfella says, full dig alert.
Oh, man, that was a dig. That was a good dig. Oh, man.
Anyway, go ahead, Sean.
So going back to, I wanted to talk about something a little different because I know if CJ gets in, we know what he wants to talk about. And I want to hear what his thoughts are on that too. But just the Judgment Day as a whole, because it's good the way they've made, you always think, okay, there's no way they can keep this going as long as they have. And they really do find a way to make it interesting and fun and to where it's like, it's not just overbearing and you're ready for it to be done and you're ready for it to move on. Like they make little links and people in it to make it interesting. What have you liked about it? What do you think, Dom, how do you think he's coming along and where do you think his track is on? And I think AJ's been fun in this role. I mean, I don't love the, it's kind of like, okay, one time's enough, but it was still funny for me. It still cracked me up. So what have you guys thought about the Judgment Day segments and where do you think they're going from here with them, kind of the base they're on?
I'm a fan, Javier. I think Dom is, I think he is amazing at what he is being asked to do. I mean, if you're buying stock in wrestlers in terms of their future income, future SummerSlam, WrestleMania main events, Dom is like a dark horse. He's a sleeper stock, I think is a term. Like, I mean, maybe he's not even a sleeper anymore. I mean, but obviously he's treated as a mid-card comedy guy, upper mid-card comedy guy with the IC title. But man, he is so good with his acting and his, when I say acting, pro wrestling acting, I don't know how you do in a movie, but in the context of wrestling, he gets the tone and is just so, I mean, he's just, I'm a fan of him in that. I think Finn Balor's having the time of his life right now. Raquel is just good. Hey, Roxanne, you held up your end, but you better keep doing it. Roxanne her body language is good. JD I'm a fan of him. I mean, JD's not at Dom's level in terms of his upward, trajectory or potential, but JD's always been great. I mean, he knows his role so well. They just keep this rolling. I'm entertained every week, and some weeks are better than others. But yeah, Dom's a star. Javier, go ahead.
Yeah, Balor's so skeevy, and
yes, there you go. I was looking for a word, and that's a word. Yeah.
And it's Dom plays off people very well. He knows the moments. I'm beginning to really think that he is Eddie Guerrero's son. It is. He's definitely the look where he's trying to echo Eddie Guerrero's look and be the same. He's like the perfect WWE wrestler in what they want. The entertainment thing. He could, he doesn't, poop the bed in the ring. Everything it works well, and it's kind of like the glue that holds the show together.
Yeah.
That and like because Raw has that and pretty much what Gable had been doing as like your two like just stuff that they do, and they might not even be on the PLEs, but they actually are what it's the early acts in the circus that this is kind of fun before you get to the big crazy acrobatic stuff. And he's done a great job with that. Good comedic timing. I love Styles praying to God. In that scene, I was like, that was awesome.
That was funny.
And then Dominic walking out, no, please. That was great. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's not the top, obviously. It's not what they're doing with the with Seth's group and the Oracle and all that stuff. It's not the top stuff, but it's super enjoyable and
Derek Mitchell says Dom is a combination of Eddie Guerrero and Love Machine Art Bar. They were a fantastic tag team back in the day. Look up some of that content. Derek Mitchell bringing the history again. Jeremy Diaz says JD deserves a lifetime deal for finishing that match where he smashed his head on the table.
That was something.
Some facts from Derek. The Judgment Day's been together since April 3rd, 2022, and many versions, but still entertaining. Dom is a blue chip of the group. No need to rush him right now. Yeah, there's no rush for him at all. Glenn B says Finn has epic facial expressions in response to standard deviation, saying Finn's acting grates on me. I said Finn is having the time of his life. I did not say Finn is a great actor, but there is a bit of a charm in how Finn acts. I don't think he is distractingly bad as an actor, but there's a little, I don't know, Jimmy Fallon on SNL, where it's just like, yeah, he's not really contributing to the skit. He's just sort of laughing at it while participating. Jace Paul hates that Jimmy Fallon did that in SNL, and maybe that's an insult to Finn Balor, but I think the analogy holds it. Sometimes he seems like he's just like, how did I get dropped into this world? I'll play along and it's fun. But it's the others, who are doing maybe better acting now. Glenn B says, Dom is amazing now. He is that good. He got the crowd to hate him again a bit after they started cheering him. Goodfella1422 says Judgment Day is going a few years now. What a success for the faction. Shout out Edge.
Right.
Shout out Edge. Remember when he was dragging the group down? That
was bad.
Standard deviation, I cracked up when he grabbed the doctor's note. Yeah. I mean, the thing about Dom is he's just so deadpan, dry, all in, believable as, being skeevy. I mean, yeah, it's just, and he's a smart guy. All right. Sean, anything else? And then we'll try to move on here.
Yeah, real quick. I actually won't be on for a few weeks. I'm going on vacation, so I'll be able to. I'll be listening. I know. Don't miss me too much while I'm gone.
We need new people now to fill in for you. So this is a call out to our listeners. Don't listen on delay.
We're going to go on a fun trip with some friends of mine, so I'm excited about that. But I wanted to say, David, I know he's on next. I'm excited. I always like his NXT reports. He does a good job doing those. So I always enjoy him, and excited to hear his call. Go VIP, everybody. Thanks for having me on, guys. It's always fun.
Are you telling us we're going on vacation?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I am going on we're going on a long
Just kidding, I don't care.
Trip. Yeah.
I'm dragging it on too long. Sean, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I'm done. Unless I think of another line to drag it out.
We're going to actually Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Detroit. We're trying to go to every baseball stadium. That's like our plan.
You chose the 3 worst cities in the United States to go to for fun?
Apparently.
No, I'm just trying to get heat. Only 2 of them are awful.
I've never actually been to really any of them, so I don't know about them much other than what I've heard people say, but that doesn't mean anything. So
I'm not going to say which city is great and which 2 are the worst, but you'll know and you'll report back and you let us know.
Okay, I'll have to report back to you to tell you what I've seen, what I've noticed. So, yeah. But no, we're just excited about it. We love baseball. It's fun to see live baseball. So,
Yeah, awesome. I just love seeing like stadiums and arenas and other cities. Although, frankly, YouTube and these drone shots have taken some of the mystique away. Like, I love like the architectural choices that are made to differentiate baseball stadiums and just like concourses and entry. I've always loved like I'm into architecture, but I love like how stadiums are built based on the space that they have, the era it's built in, what they're going for theme wise, and all that. I don't know. I can stand in a lobby of an arena and like spend 20 minutes just thinking about the decisions that were made, and most people just walk through and don't think twice about it. So I'm weird.
I love Minnesota. I love Minnesota. I did love Target Field. It was one of my favorite ones. I really enjoyed it a lot.
Everybody has a favorite baseball stadium, and Target Field is like everybody's second favorite, which it's like it's great.
It's
like, yeah, no, seriously, you hear so many out of town baseball like announcers go, Target Field's one of the two best stadiums, and it's there's no consensus on anything other than Target Field's one of the two best. But everybody has a different top two. But Target Field seems to land in all of them. It's a great spot right in downtown Minneapolis, right by the river. No earthquakes, despite AEW having the Quake by the Lake theme. Yeah, but Target Center not for long. The fabulously refurbished Target Center is, good. I mean, it's the oldest NBA arena, tied for the oldest. So the new owners are going to build a grand arena somewhere. We don't know where yet, but that's that's several years away. Anyway, have fun on your trip, Sean. Yep.
Yeah, no, thank you, and thanks for giving me the platform. It's just a blessing to be able to talk wrestling with you guys. So thank you.
And by the way, one thing about Target Field too, I haven't been there in a few years, but the staff is so I don't think I've ever felt like more I was almost eerie, like it was cult like it was like they were so friendly and so accommodating, and like there's so many in life there's just so many people who just seem to hate their job, and everybody at Target Field just seems to love what they're doing, from the people scanning the tickets to people working for the food stands and the self-help people. At XL Energy Center I got hockey games, and I've just not felt the same vibe. It's not like just a Minnesota thing. Target Field really makes, at last I saw, it really makes you feel like you're the most important person in the world, and they want to make sure your experience is great. So anyway, go to a Twins game, even though the current owners don't want to spend any money to build a winning team because they're trying to sell the team. So maybe don't go. I don't know. Go for the food and the atmosphere. All right. See you, Sean.
All right, David, take it away. See you guys.
Yep. Speaking of which, let's bring David Miller in. He contributes to PWTorch with NXT TV reports, Evolve TV reports, and appears as a caller and sometimes a co-host on our shows. David, welcome. Good to see you. Good to hear from you. We have a delay with David.
Yeah, speaking of new faces, right? NXT and Evolve guy again. I just want to tell Sean. Thanks. I want to tell Sean thanks for the plug, and I'll get that check out in the mail to you here soon. No, all seriousness, you guys have already echoed a lot of my thoughts on the show. Let me just go back to the beginning there. And I'll echo what you said, Wade, about the whole triple threat thing. Yes, it does make sense. However, one thing you've learned last night with Bayley and Becky and Lyra, which is, especially when you have two baby face, mind the extended selling on the outside. It is what it is. But the baby faces always wind up getting in each other's way, allowing the heel to win. That's what happened last night. It happened at SummerSlam too. Naomi, besides her just winning the title, that's what's going to happen. Rhea and Io will get so tied up in each other that Naomi will slide out with the belt. And that's just the way those triple threat matches go. As far as the Bayley I was scared to death they were going to make that another triple threat, like you were saying. I thought there'd be some kind of like both, like you said, both shoulders on the mat. As far as Baylor and Lyra go, it was a good match. Other than again the tired old. And here's where don't get me wrong. I'll take the Triple H era of booking over the McMahon era 3 times a day and 5 times on Sunday. But he is making the same mistakes and doing the same thing over and over and over again. With the baby face gets a quick pin, and let's face it here, I think Lyra is the baby face in this feud, and I do smell a Bayley heel turn coming, just from the way she's been acting lately. And I think she's going to take offense to losing this match and not being able to get a shot at the Intercontinental title. But yeah, the babyface gets a quick pin, and then there's someone win 2 straight out of 3.
Yep, I mean it is a old formula.
Probably been a while.
Yeah.
I think on that one for a minute. So
Dave,
that's how that goes. And I, as far as the main event, I want to skip to the main event now. I really liked the way it was going, but it was predictable. You knew that if Braun was, and I think we got a lag here. So if I'm talking over you guys, I'm sorry.
Yep.
Okay. Are we good?
Yep.
I think we had a lag there going on.
We do, but you just have to keep talking, and then we'll.
You knew that if Braun was out first, that CM Punk was going to be last, and you knew that again, Braun, he's going to be the one to carry. He's going to be the one to carry that gauntlet match until the end, and then Punk's going to win. So at the end of the match, I was just kind of twiddling my thumbs because I knew how it was going to end. So the Roman Reigns run-in was a nice surprise. I did not see that coming. Which that's the one thing I liked about. I like it when they can do things like that because I've been watching wrestling for so long. I've seen how so much of the stuff plays out. Yeah, I won't say how long, but a very long time. When they can surprise me, I like it. They surprised me last night with Naomi cashing in because quite honestly, Rhea and Io were putting on such a great match. He got a huge pop. He got a Road Warrior pop tonight. And I think it's because he has been there sparingly. We've not seen him since what was it, WrestleMania the last time we saw him? I can't really
day after WrestleMania.
Yeah. Remember. It's been a while.
David, our connection is bad enough. I am going to cut you off there, but I think we have enough to go on. But yeah, David needs to upgrade internet or reset his modem, or just hope things get better. If normally it's a lot better than that. That was rough. But some good topics to cover there. He said he likes surprises, and if you can surprise him, that's good, because there is some predictability in wrestling. And frankly, Javier, I say this a lot: predictability is not inherently bad. You should do the right thing, try to mask it without putting wrestlers in a position to do things that are illogical. But if you can, create like the red herring, we're gonna have Braun and Gunther face off, and a lot of fans are, they just gave away the finish, and it turns out no, that was a red herring. I like that, but also don't surprise people for the sake of surprising people either. You don't just do surprise. The goal of professional wrestling is not to surprise people. That some bookers get lost in that and think, I can't let people know what I'm doing before I do it. That's just silly pride. Just tell a really good story with integrity. That whether people see it coming or not, sometimes if people see it coming, it's a compliment, because you're doing the thing that makes the most sense to lead to the climax of a big one-on-one match. And if people see it coming, so be it. Yeah. Javier, go ahead with your comments on what David had to contribute.
Yeah, I would, as much as I like a surprise, I would never utter that out loud when it comes to storytelling, because usually it leads to what you're talking about, because it's not just in wrestling. You see that also in entertainment. The Star Wars Last Jedi was very divisive, partly because of that, because the director wanted to, did a bunch of stuff that was to subvert fans' expectations in that show. So, since he tried to subvert so much, at the end there was like a lot of stuff that didn't make any sense. So, and you run into, I mean, we've seen that, and it's just what we call, isn't that what we call hot shot booking? And swerve culture, culture, and that kind of stuff is for that reason, which is why I would rather see the stuff be predictable if you don't know how to handle a surprise. Naomi cashing in, that was a surprise, and it didn't necessarily come out of nowhere because she just wants a title. And it actually benefits her because it puts her on the brand where her two closest rivals are not. So she doesn't have to worry about them coming for her. And, so that made sense. Roman Reigns was just like, at some point he's coming back. So, would have probably made a little more sense if Seth Rollins was still around, but what can you do? Yeah. But still trying to get revenge. I mean, some surprise, those I do like surprises, but like you said, as long as they make sense, as long as they have the groundwork laid out for it.
Some of the smartest wrestlers are involved in like needless misdirections, where when you deconstruct it backwards, there's no way. FTR did that months back in some big angle, and Tom Martin and I talked about that. We're just like, this makes absolutely no sense that they would, the whole tease of cat, whatever. I don't even want to revisit the angle, but it was utter nonsense. Like nothing about it was logical. It was just all to lead to the misdirection was like the holy grail. The end goal is just we made people think we're doing one thing and then we did something completely different, and it makes no logical sense. So that's not what is happening here, but that's just something where, when someone says, "Oh, I like surprises," like you say, don't even say that out loud, because bookers run with that in a way that can go haywire. As far as Bailey goes, we're going to bring CJ in a second, but Sean Plitch just says Bailey according to or playing off of what David said on the call, Bailey as a heel will work well. The face run isn't working. Ryan Solorio says a losing streak is a good way to turn heel. What do you think they're doing with Bailey, and do you think they're making it obvious what they're doing, or do you think it's not clear what they're doing, and that's a good thing?
Oh, that's not a good thing. I've been praying for her to find some sort of direction. There's a glimmer of it if she looks back at the match. There's a glimmer of it where she's being mean, for lack of a better word, being mean to Lyra Valkyria during the match. I think that's a good. It was fairly heelish what she was doing. Using her veteranship to, say like, basically slap her around essentially. And Corey on commentary kind of brought up the fact that she doesn't, they're calling her like the elder statesman, but she doesn't want to be that. She still like wants to be in the thick of things. She doesn't want to be like the locker room leader. She wants to be, an equal to all of them.
Right.
And I think that like chip on your shoulder kind of heel, I'm resentful kind of thing. I'd like that idea. I thought her heel run, her previous heel run as the Crazy Karen was entertaining enough, but it was over the top cartoonish. She has the opportunity here to do a more story based, more serious, almost Gunther-esque kind of character.
Yep.
I'd like to see that from her, but this is just based on what I saw in the match. And, hopefully, and this loss could, trigger that kind of change. I just like the whole cackling thing that she used to do. And, ding dong. I don't want to see that. I just want to see someone who wants to win and is not, and maybe not necessarily cheat. This is where you could actually fit your shades of gray. I'm not that I'm, promoting it.
We don't use that term anymore. No, honestly, say something else other than that, so we know what you're talking about, because people think that means something it doesn't.
Okay, so the tweener.
Whatever you want, wherever you're going with
it.
That term has lost all meaning because it's a trigger word and people think it means something other than how I use it. So I don't like it being used anymore.
Yeah. So like, kind of like how they've kind of used Gunther, where where he has like strong. There's some factors of Gunther that you can actually like, right?
Right. There's nuance.
Yeah.
He's a layered, nuanced character who ultimately is a jerk. But there are traits in him that you can imagine with a little shift suddenly becoming admirable and worthy of cheering, especially opposite of somebody who's an awful person or someone you want to see him show up.
Yeah. So someone who's like desperate enough to win to take a little bit of a shortcut, but not like. She's not going to team up with somebody to, to be like House of Torture, jump people and just, do crazy stuff like that. But someone who's going to win and take shortcuts just because, they're lacking in some sort of thing. But, care about winning as opposed to, just being an evildoer, haha, ding dong, stuff.
Yeah. Very good. All right. We'll get to some emails soon too. And a few more chat comments. There's a bunch we have not put on the screen and read out loud about Naomi. And I want to give her due if I remember to do it as the show progresses. But we got CJ LaChapelle with us, who has thoughts on Bayley because he's a big Bayley fan. He does not hide that. And also, you met Bayley, and you sent me a photo, a very nice photo of Bayley posing with you. So tell us how it went. Did you keep your cool, or was she freaked out by how much you liked her?
She did not freak out.
Good. Then you did your job.
I gotta be honest here. When I first got to her, I slightly broke down just a little bit.
Well, that's fine.
Just a little tear. Like you're my favorite.
Yeah.
And then she gave me the big hug, which was awesome. She could have been nicer, but a great part. After I met her, I sent her a thank you tweet, and this afternoon she liked the tweet.
Awesome.
I've been dying for her to like one of my tweets for a long time, and it finally happened.
Excellent.
She liked. I'll show it. Hold on. Yeah.
Yep, there it is, everybody.
Yeah, she liked this tweet, and I made sure it was the real Bayley.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I know. There's a history of women wrestlers where there are male fans who women get uncomfortable with how much how they touch them. They enter their physical space too much. And it is an issue that has come up with female wrestlers that I've even communicated with about these meet and greets and stuff like that. And some women are more comfortable than others. Some have traumatic histories, within others are just are snobs about it. They want the fans to pay money, but they don't want to just, pose next to them. There's a whole range of things that can happen. That photo looked like it was very sweet. It looked like Bayley's having a good time, and you were happy to be with her, and I'm glad it turned out like that.
Yeah, I got to do it again, though, but it went by so fast. It was almost a blur. But, yeah, I was very careful. It's just a shoulder hug. It's not like I got near her ass or anything that day.
All right, we don't need to get into
specifics. I wouldn't have done that.
I would hope not. I didn't know that was on the table.
I'm just saying I didn't want to be that fan. I would
hope not, yeah.
No. Kept it cool. But I was in line with guys that met her that were meeting her for like the 6th, 8th, 10th time. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
But then I hear she starts to remember them and everything.
Yeah.
So
I've seen Young Bucks at meet and greets, and there's fans who get way more excited about seeing them than
really.
People are you see someone on TV a long time, you admire them, and people. I mean, it's not just the female wrestlers who deal with it, but obviously there's a connotation of a mostly male audience and women in scantily clad outfit. I mean, it's an uncomfortable situation. Put a lot of the women in, and so it's up to fans to be responsible in all those meet and greet situations. But anyway, so we talked about Bayley's future and her character, her coming up short here to get that IC title rematch. Again, I don't think winning is always the best thing for a career. Sometimes losing. Now, not if you have a favorite wrestler and you follow them like you follow your local sports team, there's never a good reason to lose. But pro wrestling is about storytelling. Bayley's on a journey. What you want with Bayley, if you're a fan of hers or you think she has talent and can contribute to the show, you want to get a sense that there's a plan, and a plan that's going to include her, maybe not on every single big show. Part of the driver, maybe if she's not on SummerSlam, part of the driver of her next big push is that she was excluded from SummerSlam in addition to WrestleMania, that bad luck keeps happening and she snaps. So she doesn't need to be on every single big show, especially if it's clearly designed as a framework to give her a new refresh of her character and something to complain about. So I'm not saying that's happening. I'm not saying she won't be on SummerSlam, but if she's not, and she does want to, and the goal is for her to turn heel, that could be the impetus for her to get a really big push and to give her character something to really complain and talk about. Javier, you're nodding. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that idea. It's almost like you covered this professionally. It's great. I mean, yeah, I love that idea. If she misses it because of this match, it's just she just snaps. Maybe the fact that she's going to miss it closer, like she's a week away, she attacks somebody because I forgot who did that, but they used that story once before. That someone was going to get to WrestleMania and they were trying to figure out how, and they jumped somebody just to try to get in. So maybe if she does that.
Becky Hogan did that to Bayley.
Well, no, but this was this last WrestleMania. I'm talking about like a long time ago. There was someone who I think it was like Kevin Owens or something, but I'm probably wrong. But somebody wanted to get, I like that idea that the idea either that she turns heel in order to try to get into SummerSlam, or she misses SummerSlam, and that pushes her into being heel or changing her character at the very least.
Mm-hmm. Very good. CJ, anything else you want to bring up?
You don't think this would be a slap to Bayley to be left off Mania and then SummerSlam? Both
that would be the story.
Big shows, and you can't fit a match for Bayley.
That would be her complaint, and that would be her complaint. And then, like that way, like the she'll be upset that she was never in those things, and it's like, what's wrong? And it's they're these, and that puts her in a collision course with top talent, like top new talent, like Stephanie Vaquer. It's like, Stephanie Vaquer might have a spot, and it's like, how does she, who just came in, get a spot over me when I'm the veteran and I deserve it,
CJ, And I'm disappointed in you, CJ. I tried to preempt what I knew was going to be your complaint in question by answering it before you got to it, and you still asked it. I said, if Bayley is off SummerSlam, you don't need to be upset, because it could, as Javier just artfully explained in more detail than I did, it could be part of a master plan that's going to make you very happy. So don't think about instant gratification. She could be on SummerSlam and lose a match and not be on TV for 4 months. But if she misses SummerSlam, that could be the driver to justify her character being on television every week in a renewed push with a refresh of a character, and you'll be okay.
You're giving Triple H way too much trust.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not guaranteeing this, so don't be mad at me if it doesn't turn out this way. But I'm just saying not necessarily. I'm not saying for sure. I'm saying if she's not on SummerSlam, it's not necessarily a bad thing. And Sean says Bayley Vaquer would be a blast.
I would only.
I hear you, but
she's liked. She's liked backstage. I would worry if she wasn't. So
right.
Because she's liked backstage, she's not going to be forgotten. They're going to want her around, and they'll do something. So.
Yep. All right.
It's just making me so nervous. And then, do you think a heel turn might be best for her?
Yeah.
Yeah. At this point,
yeah.
Because the thing is, she's never really. I've since her breakup with EO and Damage Control, she's never really felt like a strong babyface.
But that's creative's fault, not Bayley's.
Right.
Well,
nothing is Bayley's fault. She's talented. She's doing what she's told.
Yeah.
She's a victim, CJ. Anytime she's not getting pushed to a level that satisfies you, she's the victim of bad creative.
I sense a little sarcasm there.
No.
And here, I'll even because watching her in the match with Valkyrie, I'm like, damn, she's still really good in the ring. After watching Mercedes wrestle at All In and the stuff that Io was doing, she still has. I'm kind of disappointed that things haven't like really coalesced to give her more big moments. No. Because I know she can handle them. So and it'll be great. It's just that it's just sometimes. It's being at the right place at the right time, and sometimes you're just not.
They're going to have to do this quick or I feel another boycott coming. My loyalty's with Bailey, not WWE.
You can have. You don't need to be brand loyal. Nobody's asking you to be brand loyal. But we're just telling you, like,
I hope you guys are right. It's just I'm trying to trust it, and
you don't.
This
You don't
year
have to. CJ, you do not need to trust. You just need to know that there's a possibility that something that upsets you is actually part of a larger plan that's gonna be better for her. It's a possibility. Don't assume if she's not on SummerSlam that you need to be all worked up about it.
But again, this ain't the first time where she's been kind of screwed around, though.
But it doesn't. What happens in the past doesn't determine what's going to happen in the future.
That's true.
Yeah, it rained 3 days in a row. It doesn't mean it'll rain on the fourth day. That's just not how it works. It rained on It rained on July 15th last year. Now it'll rain on July 15th this year. That's not how it works. It's an independent situation, not heavy. Unless there's additional information. What happened in the past doesn't mean it's going to happen again. There's all kinds of variables that can lead to a different outcome. CJ, did you get that book I recommended for you, by the way? Have you thought about ordering it?
Yeah, I got it on Audible. I got give it a try.
Good.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I will. And thanks for your positivity is helping me a little bit.
Thank you.
Actually, I'm kind of torn on it. In a way, I'm liking it, but in a way, I'm like, I don't know.
Well, CJ, I don't know what you'd do if you weren't distressed over Bailey. I mean, how would you occupy yourself? All right.
I'd be happy.
Well, I'm trying to talk you into happiness. All right, CJ, it's fun as always. You're a good dude. We'll talk to you next time.
Thanks.
All right. Kyle Fessel says, wait, I remember you talking about that smoking book a long time ago, if that's what you're talking about. Yeah, CJ is open about it in the chat that he's smoking, and his doctor said he should quit. And I said, the Easy Way to Quit Smoking by Alan Carr. I read it because I had some friends who I wanted to quit smoking, and I heard good things about the book, and I read it. I was like, this is good. I'm curious if it works, and bought a couple copies, and I got handed around with my friends, and I think like 8 out of 10 of them quit smoking and never went back. Maybe 9 out of 10, actually. So, yeah, it just, I mean, when people keep telling you quitting smoking is hard, and I'm a non-smoker who's never been addicted to nicotine, so take it in that context. I'm doing this anecdotally, but the people who quit are angry to this day at the people who say it's hard to quit smoking, because that book eliminates that false mindset. There's a difficult phase that has a distinct endpoint for everybody if they follow that book's instructions, and it is short and it is exciting, and people can't wait to smoke their last cigarette while reading the book, which the author tells them to do. So yeah, if anybody out there is a smoker and you want to quit smoking, I'd apply to vaping too, I think. The Easy Way by Alan Carr. The Amazon reviews are astounding. I mean, I just feel like more people should talk about it, because all the nicotine patches are just delaying the inevitable, which is you're addicted to nicotine, and a bunch of presuppositions about smoking that this book just deconstructs in a logical way. I don't want to give too much away because it's fun to experience the author's brilliance in laying out the case, but there's a complex psychological game happening with the way it's talked about that that sets you up for failure. And he gets you just right past that threshold where you understand what to not pay attention to, and then what actually is going on and how to get past that difficult phase. So anyway, that's my best. It's been a long time since I thought about or read it, but I highly recommend it, and I know it changed some people's lives. All right. We got Derell calling us. Let's get to Derell now. Derell, welcome. What's on your mind about Raw tonight?
How you doing, Wade? How you doing, Javier? And
good.
Raw was good tonight. Raw was pretty decent. I came in a little late, so I'm gonna go to the front segment with Rhea, Io, and Naomi. So I like that they're gonna do the triple threat. I kind of figured that they was gonna do that, but my emphasis that I seen that they was putting on is more of a long-term build that they might have, and I wanted to see what you guys thought about it. It's looking like they're going to build up to maybe Rhea versus Io again, to see if Rhea can finally beat Io, and maybe without a title. That could be a potential match at maybe a Mania or something big, because they're saying they two of the best of in that generation, which that generation might be Rhea, Io, and Bianca, the ladies right after the 4 horsewomen. So what are you guys thinking about that? And Do you think they're using this triple threat to move them away from the title and move Naomi, who's doing a great job at what she's doing right now, into something?
Yeah, I thought about that watching the match, that the match was sold on Rhea and her losing streak, and they get to do that again. I'm not, it was a satisfying, newsworthy finish, but it storyline wise took away everything that led up to it mattering. And I mean, there's some match was great. I mean, Io and Rhea were great. I don't like Michael Cole. I don't know. I don't want to do a sidebar. I think Michael Cole too often is telling us how great matches are, and just going a little too far, where it sort of feels like it's propaganda and manipulation instead of letting us just enjoy them. It wasn't the match deserved the praise it got tonight, but it's part of a pattern of Cole where it almost feels like that. Yeah, he's just instructed to define this era as an era of, every it's like, Dana White after UFC show. This is the best UFC show ever. This is the best fight ever. And it's like, you just want credibility. Let other people decide what the greatest matches are, not the paid announcer who's there to promote the brand and isn't objective. But I don't have a huge problem with it. Just a little sidebar to a caution flag. Don't overdo it in declaring all these matches the greatest ever. That was really good, but it can't be a greatest match ever when you have a run-in and you don't have a real resolution to what the core storyline was going in. The positive is nobody's going to complain about getting to see that match again. And when they do, that losing streak is still there, and it is still a driving trait for Rhea Ripley. We talk about what Bayley's driving trait might be, being left off big shows if she is, or coming up short, and that something needs to change. And, Rhea, the impetus for her just brawling to the crowd and kind of going into a next level intensity was frustration. The ref was down. She had a visual count. I still think that's stupid. Why would I kick out of a pin when there's no referee counting? It doesn't mean I would have gotten pinned if the ref was counting. So I think they overplay that. I think there's a lot of things WWE does that are just tired tropes that don't make sense when you actually think about it a little bit. But no, all that said, yeah, Javier, I mean, they have this card to play again, and it is a built-in storyline they've already done some heavy lifting on. So when they revisit it, I think the audience will have built-in interest in, will this be the time Rhea can finally get a big win over Io?
I don't think it's a guaranteed that we're going to go back to this, but a bullet in your holster. That's not the right word I was going to go for, but you know what I mean. A bullet in your chamber. That's what I was looking for. That you can use for the future for when they do cross paths in a one-on-one scenario. And I was actually scrolling on my phone, see if I could find the because someone brought up the fact that there is kind of like a circle where I haven't checked this, so this might be wrong because this was on social media, where I think Belair hasn't pinned Rhea, and Io hasn't beaten somebody, has never pinned somebody, and that person's never pinned. So there's almost like a circle of like five wrestlers, 5 women wrestlers who haven't. Liv Morgan is also part of that circle. Because I think Io's never beaten Liv. Liv's never beaten Belair. Belair's never beaten Rhea. Rhea's never beaten Io. Something along those lines. I may be wrong. I'm gonna have to look that up. But there's a circle of like a couple of wrestlers that haven't that earned that maybe that could be something kind of, because I mean, like the Undertaker streak was something like someone realized something. Hey, Undertaker's never lost a WrestleMania match. Oh, let's make it a thing. That's something that they could do with those people if they realize like, hey, these people, they've never won that, they've never had a thing, and you could make a.
You can just have like cool story about it. You can have like an 8-way match where there's every wrestler like I hate to say human centipede version, but like this whole circle of people. She didn't beat her. She's not beat her. She hasn't beat her, and it's like an 8-way match. And somebody, but then you just WWE would find a cop out finish, and everyone still has a streak. Let's just do one-on-ones and tell the story separately.
But yeah, it's something you could use later. The only reason I don't think it's like a necessary done thing is I don't know. I still don't have a feeling of how WWE feels about Io Sky as a champion. I don't know if because if they feel as like if she's a transitional champion. I think she's great. I've enjoyed her entire run. I don't know if they like see her like on the same level as like Rhea Ripley, even Becky and Bianca Belair. I don't know if they see her on that level. So that's the only reason I put a pause on that on them like really having a high level high stakes match against each other.
All right, Derell, what else for us?
I would say that the last few women champions haven't been women champions for very long. They all recently they only been getting like 100 some days. So I'm thinking I'm looking at it as we ask them to have more stories with women outside of having title feuds. And right now, besides them building up Stephanie Bakir, this is the only thing that they've been focusing on, who full-time people, those two individuals right there, and how they talk about them and labeling them as the best in the generation, in this generation. They're labeling them as on a path to eventually meet, just like how they was having with the when Sasha and Charlotte kept changing the titles back and forth at that time when they was trying to get those four horsewomen off at a certain time. So that's something that I was just thinking that they could do. Now going to Naomi, I'm hoping that they let her win that triple threat because I really want to see where they're doing with this bill with Stephanie Valkyr, who get the title shot at the end of August at Clash in Paris, because I still see her on a ride to Becky, but I would love to see them give, maybe Stephanie wins the title from Naomi, and they build Stephanie Valkyr up for the next few months, all the way maybe to Mania with the title, just to see what she have, and maybe you get a Becky Lynch in the title after losing the IC title to maybe a Bailey. There you go, CJ, and let her have a run with it. And now you have multiple feuds. What do you think about how they gave Naomi a spotlight today and Stephanie? And do you think that's a match that they can build? And where do you see that going from there?
Well, there are some good generational first time, like you want that. You want like these established people been around a long time who are still relevant and hot, and then these people coming in to try to take it over. I mean, it was sort of like Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves and the Lakers with LeBron. Like it's like you want to have that sort of, you know, legend killer in sports type thing happening where, you know, there's a team that overtakes a previous team, or a star player who overtakes another star player, symbolically ending their run. And obviously Stephanie Bakir, and Kelly Wells raves about her and has just, like I said, it's his favorite wrestler to cover in the last 8 years of NXT. This is the if they push her right, and you know, it's still a work in progress, Javier. They're in the kind of earliest stage of how they want fans to feel about her, but they are protecting her and framing her as a big deal. And so the veterans like Naomi, you want fresh opponents. You don't want Becky wrestling Bailey and Bailey wrestling Charlotte and Charlotte wrestling Becky forever. You want to have these fresh matchups, and WWE is you know, has a lot of that right now to work with. And Naomi is a pleasant surprise. Bakir is people are relieved that she's being treated as a big deal. So anyway, Javier, yeah, talk about that and more broadly, as Derell brought up.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get into the position that New Japan found themselves, where they had, you know, the top talent that was just wrestling each other, and they didn't mix them in with the newer talent, and you know, so, and now they find themselves in a position where after all the older talent left, you know, no one knows what the new talent is. So you don't want that either. I like the, you know, Stephanie Bakir. I'm looking forward to see what she does. She's her English is coming out. She's is coming across good. So, you know, just, you know, more repetition and more work on that. But yeah, so I mean, I agree wholeheartedly that I mean, we've already seen it. Becky Lynch is there she's doing, you know, she's trying to drag Lyra Valkyria to be something, kicking and screaming if she has to. I'm setting aside the fact that I think they took a step back when they went into the triple threat thing, because then they both, Bailey and Lyra, were unlikable in that case. But you know, but Becky's been doing, you know, that's how they're using Becky to try to get Lyra over. I want to see the same thing. Maybe use Naomi to try to get Valkyria over. I think Julia on SmackDown, I think you probably have I'm having a hard time thinking who the veterans are on that roster, but you could also have just like a roster with just young people all fighting against each other. So,
what do you make of Nikki and Vicaire sharing? Is that just a one-off, or is that leading somewhere, Javier?
They'll probably have a tag team. A tag team, so Vicaire get a little bit of the rub off of Nikki from Nikki's fans.
How many are there?
There are 3.
Okay.
So you're talking? Oh no. I thought you meant how many? Because I was thinking it's Chelsea Green and the Secret Harvest.
No, I'm making fun of Nikki talking about her fan base and then coming out.
I thought you were being serious, and I answered it seriously.
Yeah, gotcha.
That's what I'm
saying.
I
think it was a good deadpan dig at Nikki. I'll take that. I don't have anything against Nikki, but I like the idea that she like talks about her brigade or whatever, and like it's just she's not getting this reaction of being this major returning star everyone's been itching to see again. I think it sets her up better for a heel turn than kind of not being at the Trish level. And so when I see Nikki and Vicaire, I'm just like, I kind of think we might see Nikki having enough of Vicaire being all that and the shiny new toy, and Nikki gets jealous. I mean, I don't want to do turn. I think, you can do too many turns, and most bookers do too many turns. But Nikki as a heel against Vicaire might be she becomes a veteran gatekeeper to give Vicaire, like you said, a rub in the sense that she's beating somebody who was a headliner, a big featured star for years.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't know how long Nikki Bella was going to be around. I don't know. Is it longer term or?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I mean, she looked mostly good, but mostly underlined. I mean, there were some spots in there where it's like, okay, just there were some things she wasn't quite pulling off in the ring tonight. But she's passable, and she was passable at worst and more than passable most of the time. And so Vicaire's really good. So I don't know. I think they could do a quick angle with that. Derell, you reacted to me bringing that up.
Yeah, because in WWE logic, it would be her turning on her, especially at her biggest moment when she get a title shot at Clash in Paris. Then you can burn that feud off the next month, and that's your way of keeping Stephanie away from the title until you want her to go against somebody bigger for the title and give Naomi maybe a little run to go against different people. So yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Now, just to move on to something else. I know y'all probably talked a lot already about the main event, so I'm gonna just bring it about something else. So I'm ready to see what CM Punk can do going back and forth with how Gunther cut his promos, because I want CM Punk to build up Gunther enough to where we don't have to keep having with Gunther right now. Is he a heel at one moment, or can he be stern babyface or whatever, who respects the ring and stuff like that? I want to see, can he build him up where people care more about Gunther as in who he facing him, and if he's a heel, I want to see somebody beat him and invest into whoever he faced to see if he lose or if he beat him. Then they just investing in the next person he faced to finally see him beat. And I think CM Punk, who has kind of been off with his promos since he's been back in WWE, I want to see, can he catch up and step it up to another level to go against Gunther.
Thanks, Derell. I think we have 2 weeks, and that's it, which is fine. But I agree. I want to see what CM Punk does opposite of Gunther. If he is over it, Punk's got his money. He's been emasculated and humiliated by John Cena and social media. Back down on his word. Everything he stood for has shattered, and now people who cheer him are either unaware, in his mind, they're like unaware, or he doesn't respect them because they don't have the principles that he once thought he had. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy ways that CM Punk could be beating himself up mentally. And I throw all that out there because he's somebody who gets pretty in his own head about things. So you wonder, can he kind of hit the reset with Gunther, who's such a different type of opponent? This isn't Drew. It's not Seth. It's like there's no meta stuff. It's just a baby face who has an opportunity as a great talker to just dress down Gunther and find something to go after him for. And if Punk is plugged in and invested, or he's open-minded to somebody who suggests talking points, And I can't construct what that promo would be. That's not my job. If I had one thing to do all week and think about it, I might be able to come up with something. So it is someone's job to come up with stuff like that. I'm curious what they come up with. It could end up being generic and bland, and I want to win a world title, and Gunther, you're arrogant, but I've seen people like you before. I mean, it could just be platitudes, and we kind of go, oh, that's kind of a bummer. But it'd be nice to have Punk kind of seem like he's reinvigorated by something really fresh to work with the next 2 weeks that isn't kind of the muck of other legacy stars who, I don't know, are doing semi-shoots on each other, and there's baggage and history. With Gunther, it's just a fresh face-heel matchup. Javier, what do you think?
Yeah, what's going to be interesting is that there's no meta between these two.
Exactly.
Every single feud that he's had has either had at some level of meta, either
Drew and Seth especially. They were the ones who initially were like, what, this guy's back? And they, did the whole work that was supposed to be a shoot. But
so you have that, and you have, the history between him and Cena. And the pipe bomb and all that stuff, and bringing up the Saudi situation. Outside the only meta stuff they could really get to would be like that boring old, oh yeah, you were in the indies, doing this stuff. But I'm like, that was also the way that Punk came from. So,
and that's not meta is breaking from storyline to pull real life in.
Yeah. But
that's just actual history.
Actual history. But like that outside of the existence of WWE,
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't really do that because they both had the same, upbringing basically. So maybe because that worked because that worked with it was Gunther. I forgot who Gunther was wrestling, but that was something that brought up that you were wrestling in bingo halls, and I was like born in the WWE kind of thing. But you can't do that with Punk, and so this has got to be like a straight up Punk attacking the character of Gunther, because he can't even attack like weaknesses. That like how you could go how like Cena went after Roman Reigns, back in the day. So you can't even go after weaknesses with Gunther because he doesn't really have, any weakness that you can really, it's not like his promo game is bad or whatever. So this is going to be a legit like sports like thing if they want to do it. And the thing is, because this question came up on the fix about double turns, I could like even see maybe this is like the most fertile ground for that if they wanted to go that route where Punk is over the stuff that just happened to him and he takes it out on Gunther, and lead like because Gunther's kind of been has like positive qualities. He's easy to switch. The audience, despite the fact that one of the things that I was actually surprised today when he came out, the audience still boos him. He's good enough where I'm surprised the audience haven't started cheering him yet.
That's the brilliance of Gunther is he finds a way to have all these, nuanced layers to him that he's not some caricature, just swinging a club and grunting heel or, insulting the local sports team heel and all the hack stuff that's out there. He is you get in this, you have a real impression of not who he is in real life. That doesn't matter, but you have an impression of who the Gunther wrestling character is, and it feels like it's grounded and realistic enough to be an amplification of certainly aspects of who he is or was that he maybe outgrew or who knows, whatever. But it feels there's an authenticity to it, and he can take that, and some of those are not reflexively negative traits. They're neutral. It's self-confidence. It's calmness in the face of a circus and a storm. But he finds a way at the end or in some way to just make you resent him and boo him. Like he's not swinging like hacking away at something to get people to boo him. He knows he just takes his time. There's neutral things that aren't really inflammatory. And then he'll just do one thing and it just make people go, I don't like this guy. And it's why I like soft talking on promos more than yelling. I think the people who talk softly, people to lean in and go, oh, I want to hear what this guy's saying. When people are yelling, you get tuned out. And it's hack. So he's not hack. He's like the opposite of hack for a heel. And it's wonderful. And that's why, CM Punk worked some house shows with him, months ago, but he hasn't done a TV angle with him. And the people he's done TV angles with, they did that, silly nonsense pseudo work meta stuff of, oh, we don't like him. He's back. What's he doing here? No one told us. And it's good for a lot of material. And certainly Seth and it seems motivated by it, and Drew McIntyre really brought it. But I'm super happy to have Punk in a promo setting, as Derell brings up, move away from that. Derell, we're real limited on time. I'll get to emails. Is any super quick closing comment from you?
Quick thing. The only reason why it's no meta because they have no history. So that's why I'm hoping that this is about the championship, which it should be more sports like.
Gunther doesn't do meta. Gunther can drop his promos into any era, and I love that. He's not going to social media going, oh, can I get my instant sugar rush from somebody I can't believe he said it. He's just shows up and does his business. He would drop in any era, Derell.
Yep. And the only other thing I would say outside of that is I think more people want to see where this go if CM Punk's gonna really win the title. And I don't know if Seth really is hurt or is he not hurt. Do he show up and cost him the title? Because right now I still think the biggest thing that everybody care about is seeing CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and whoever go against Seth and his crew. So, and I don't know what you might heard about that either. On Wade,
we talked about it. We talked about it earlier, and I don't know. I don't want to say that I can report with any sourcing that reports that it was planned and someone heard a couple days ahead and it's a work and all that. I can't dispute it, but I don't have a strong stand on it. I mean, it's wrestling and people want to fool people for really dumb reasons. Or they do it for a good reason, but in a really dumb way. And maybe there's a good reason they want to get them off TV for a while. And they decided to do something silly like work the locker room and, have him out on a knee brace and crutches backstage to sell it. And I don't know. I mean, my answer is either he's legitimately hurt or it seems really stupid and pointless. And people need to get focused on just telling stories on TV and stop trying to, make people think something's real that's not. I think it's counterproductive. Yeah. But we'll see. I genuinely don't know, and I think it's a very small circle. If it's a work, very, very small circle who know, and I'm just curious if, in the end, it would make any sense. I mean, why would? It's like, it doesn't matter that Seth lost to LA Knight with his finisher. Like, I just don't like that being part of some work.
What they would have did this in the AWA or Mid-South back in the day,
of course,
and so that's what
that's a good filter to put it through. All right, thanks, Derell.
Yes, sir.
All
right, let's jump to
one quick thing.
Javier, please.
Because the other possibility is, he did get himself hurt. He's only going to be out for like 2, maybe even after SummerSlam, and he could cash in SummerSlam and just not defend it until like a month goes by. If it's like an injury, if it's a minor injury, he's only for a month.
And then.
And then everybody's gonna be saying, "Oh, see, it was a work," but it doesn't make any sense. They might end up like retroactively say it's a work, but I really doubt the way that match turned out.
People saying that people are saying that the fact that Seth is on crutches backstage is proof that he is really injured. It's not. It doesn't make me believe it more or less. But of course they would do that if they were doing a fake injury and wanted people to believe it was real. He'd have to show up backstage like everybody does when they get hurt, with his knee in a brace.
And my understanding, Wade, you can correct me if I'm wrong, like this kind of angle where you're fooling the people in the back tends to like hurt morale, doesn't it?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So
at least people roll their eyes. I mean, it's the industry's, every few years, the industry, the vibe in locker rooms different. People have different hangups, and a lot of the old school people are gone. And, now the schedule is light and the money is good, and it doesn't feel like a wrestling company. It feels like a conglomeration that happens to now own and promote wrestling. And that's why there's disappointment in Levesque not kind of protecting the integrity of the pro wrestling part of the, sports entertainment-y, catering to metrics that don't matter and encouraging bad crowd chants and stuff. But I did like Naomi just going, nah, y'all aren't going to cheer me. You weren't on my side. You didn't see this coming. I don't want your support. Like, I want more.
I love the way she said it. You weren't feeling the glow.
Yes.
I like that.
Yep. Speaking of Naomi, I said I'd get to some chat comments here. Derek Mitchell said, Ted DiBiase's laugh was cartoonish. Naomi's over-the-top mannerisms don't bother me and adds to her current heel persona. Dwayne Carpenter said, I had to laugh when she told Sky she didn't understand what she just said. Such a heel thing to say. Al Archer said she was fantastic tonight, and I've never liked Naomi. I think she's making new fans. Whoever thought of the actual change in Naomi is a genius. Complete overhaul. And because she is awesome, it worked. I love that. Because she is awesome, it worked. Why did it work? Because she's awesome. Ryan Solorio says, Naomi is doing amazing work right now. Derek Hubbard said, I enjoyed Naomi's promo tonight. It was distinct, and she did not play anything for cheers. She was cheered, but she acknowledged it in a way to remain a villain. Exactly. And I knew Derek would appreciate that too. Okay, so yeah, those are the comments. As far as Gunther and Punk goes, Mark Biscotti says, it'll be interesting to see if the crowd gets behind Punk enough to justify a title change. That's when we'll see if the damage to Punk is overstated or 100% true. Dwayne Carpenter says, I love the little things Gunther does, like wiping his feet on the mat to Braun before leaving the ring. And Mark Biscotti said, Cena's promo faded Punk's aura. I think the non-IWC sees it too. Standard Deviation said, overall, the damage done to Punk wasn't enough to disrupt their plans for him. Derek Hubbard says, Gunther and Punk is a novel and interesting match. I'm excited to see it. Also, I know Punk worked Gunther over one of the few house show loops earlier this year, so they have some reps together, indeed. And Derek Hubbard said, I did not notice anything different in Punk tonight. You might be reading into something that is not there. There could be some confirmation bias going on for people who, and I was among them. I thought Punk was greatly damaged by what Cena said. And so now, we're going to microanalyze every crowd response. Be like, oh, that was 40% less than I would have thought it would be. So therefore I was right. And he's greatly damaged. I think it's undeniable some damage was done, but I also think, and Javier, I think saying that Punk is fine is almost an indictment of the job WWE's doing, getting people to take seriously what happens on their own TV show. Like, there's way too many, one more time chance. Like, when a heel is doing something and the crowd just wants to see it again. Like, to me, that if I'm a booker, if I'm the locker room leaders, I'm like, we got to fix this. Why are fans so not buying into our heel characters and our angles that all they want to do is see someone get brutalized more? We need to fix this. What is causing it? There might not be a consensus on what's causing it, but they should be working hard to change that and not consider that okay. I feel that way. I'm more strident than most about This Is Awesome chants, and it's, some fans pay money. They just want to think they're seeing something awesome and they want to chant This Is Awesome. And I know there's a communal experience at a WWE show that I don't underestimate. I think it's important. But if you're doing your job, fans should be cheering for or against the wrestlers in the ring, not cheering the quality of the action. And I just don't think WWE's taking it seriously, and I think they're feeding into it. And I think it's creating a headwind when things aren't as lined up as they have been for them. It's going to make life more difficult.
Yeah, it's more like you're a participant of the show as opposed to like a spectator of the show.
Yeah. Email from Stephen Cleveland said, wow, has Naomi gotten herself over? A hard, organic-sounding promo from the woman who is now clearly the biggest star in her household? Wow. And the roof nearly blew off when Rhea Ripley came through that curtain. Sadly, though, out came Io Sky, bouncing and smiling, the polar opposite of Rhea. Was she pissed about her loss Sunday night? I didn't know or care. Best wishes to Seth freaking Rollins. Can't say I missed him because there was that ring and Mike General putting Heyman in his place. Gunther is quite simply, from the microphone to the mat, the number one performer in WWE. And wasn't that crowd buzzing as Braun stepped into the champ's path? And lastly, Punk winning the gauntlet was so unexpected. Now will Reigns cost him the title? No, I don't think Reigns cost him the title, Javier.
No.
Yeah. All right. JB has an email, but we are running out of time. I'll give him some time on the flagship tomorrow with Jason Powell. So everybody, go check out the flagship episode. We'll have that up for you tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Just search Wade Keller in your podcast app. It is not a YouTube show, so if you find us on YouTube, you need to subscribe to the podcast to hear our flagship, our centerpiece, free weekly podcast. Jason Paul from ProWrestling.net joins me every 3 weeks. We've been podcasting together for more than a dozen years now, and we have a lot to cover. While you're at it, search PWTorch and subscribe free to the PWTorch Daily Cast, a different show each day of the week. And it does include Javier Machado, my co-host today, his weekly show focused on WWE. And we hope that you will, if you haven't yet, hit refresh on that feed or subscribe if you haven't yet. Javier, thanks so much. Always great having you on the show.
Great to be here, Wade.
Yep, gave us a lot to talk about. I think there's quite a bit we didn't get to. I feel bad about that. So whatever those top topics are, we'll cover them tomorrow on the flagship. And if there's something very egregious we left out and you made it to the end here, email us, wadekellerpodcast@gmail.com. That is a way to send in a question or suggest a topic for Jason Powell and me that we'll record on the flagship tomorrow. And finally, just don't forget that we would love for you to like this show and subscribe to this show and comment below. That's a way to show support for what we're doing. The best way to support us besides that is to go, the best way to support us, bottom line, is a VIP membership, pwtorch.com/govip. Whole array of shows you're missing out on by not being VIP, and unmatched archive of great insider wrestling information, articles, editorials, long-form interviews, pay-per-view reports with star ratings in the pre-internet era, and more. 7-day free trial. Search PWTorch VIP on Patreon or Spotify, or get a full VIP membership at pwtorch.com/govip. Thanks to the great chat contributions. I know there's a bunch I didn't get to, but that's a good problem to have. Thanks, everybody.